Hello everybody. Today we're discussing whether Bitcoin will be continuing to trend higher or see a reversal to the downside. There are several things we're going to talk about and consider. First is the possibility of retesting the 50-week SMA as resistance. We're going to also talk about how the 100-week SMA always acts as support during that time and is eventually broken in bear markets. The bull market support band, of course, talking about value, volume, and the VWAP, which usually triggers when triggers it claps, and that signals that a major move is coming. Not the direction, but the major move. Then we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin versus the stock market. I think is essential to compare Bitcoin to other assets, not just the US dollar, right? And of course, gold and silver. In terms of silver, it's very interesting. If you compare Bitcoin to silver, we've been in a bear market for a very hard time. I mean, you start to question whether we're gonna sweep that low or even go lower, right? That's where we sit right now in terms of silver. Without further ado, um, let me introduce myself. My name is Mo. I'm a computer and data scientist. I've been a crypto investor for the past 7 years, and I was able to turn a small humble portfolio into 6 figures this cycle. So if you would like to learn some of the strategies that worked out well for me and what didn't, then try and watching this video. Of course, a lot of people make mistakes during trading. No trader is perfect unless you're like very, very professional, 20 years or plus. But what's important is that we limit our risk when we're taking a trade, and we make sure we double down when we know we're right. That's what's been working out really well for me. I limit my risk and I double down when I'm making money. And I discuss some of these trading strategies in between each session as I see relevant, right? I'm a market speculator. Basically, I'm not a trader because there's a difference between trading and speculating, right? Trading is more on the gambling side. Speculating is more like having a probabilistic view on the markets and understanding you could be wrong, but you could also be right. And what's important is that we make money when we're right and we limit losses when we're wrong. Okay, so first, one of the most important things that is happening right now is we are trending higher, and whether that trend to the upside continues or not depends on several factors. I think we have to look closely at the macro environment, that's what's happening, and some of the news and stuff. And the stock market, right? If we continue to see weakness in the stock market, that will translate to Bitcoin as well. But what we always see during every bear market cycle, not every actually, 2 of the 3 previous bear market cycles, is that we always go up, not always, again, 2 out of 3, to retest the 50-week SMA as resistance. It happened in the previous cycle, right? We retested the 50-week SMA, and as you can see, we did sweep the highs, right? So we do sweep the highs before doing that, and Bitcoin loves to do that, right? We did sweep the high here too when we did the double top. We sweep the high here as well before going lower, and this could be just another sweep of the high to confuse people before actually going lower. And what you notice is with the VWAP, let me see, is that on the right time frame? I like the quarter. Yeah, I only use the quarter. We do that often. For example, in here, when the VWAP triggered, and as again, it kind of signals big moves, either to upside to the downside, or sometimes consolidation, continuation of consolidation. But when it signals, I think this one will be about a big move, not a consolidation. We sometimes confuse investors, say sweep high, sweep the low, and then actually go on the full trend. So when the VWAP triggers, it doesn't always mean the trend that is going on now at the moment it triggered is the trend that we will continue with. No, it often here that was the case, right? It triggered and we went up to the moon. That was beautiful. Sorry guys, but here it was a lot of confusion. So I got confused here, but I was able to position myself again to the upside here, and that was also beautiful then. It's important we keep track of the market day by day, and remember that we should have a long-term outlook. Depends on your investment time frame, but for me, I'm a multi-year speculator or multi-month. So the shortest trade I do is like around 2 months, but the longest trade I did so far was 3 years, which is this trend right here. Yeah, that was good. So what we also do usually during bear market cycles is we test the 100-week SMA as support, right? So we flip the 50-week SMA as resistance, but we have the 100-week SMA as support, and we done that multiple times in previous cycles. As you can see here, kind of didn't touch it, but it was kind of relevant support right there. And if you notice as well in previous cycles, we have also carried out a similar trend. So here we have not actually tested that as support, as it was way too low, but we did test that as resistance. And now if you go further, you will see that we did test the 100-week SMA as support, but we did not test the 50-week SMA as resistance. So it's important to keep that in mind. We also don't always touch the upper line or down line, but we can understand that price usually leads up to there or goes down to there at certain times. So whether this market rally will continue, let me just do that, to the upside or not, and test the 50-week SMA is undetermined right now, but there can be seen some weakness and some strength at the same time. It's a lot of confusion what's going on in the market right now because nobody knows kind of where it's going. A lot of people on YouTube, a lot of analysts, and just there's a lot of indecision and confusion in the market, especially with World War III fears starting to come up again, you know, like Trump wanting to take Greenland, the EU showing some resistance there, and, you know, NATO is unsure about their status right now. Russia, Ukraine, China, interest rates, unemployment, all those stuff. Some people in the extended cycle camp and some people are in the, yeah, the bear market is here. I think where we're going to be is somewhere in between. There's a theory that what we're having right now is something similar to the 2019 bear market is going to be like suppressed in one way or another. Sorry. Due to just we not topping on euphoria, and that makes sense as we did not see retail or major interest in crypto this cycle, not like last cycle. Where this cycle have been major interest, especially how you notice what are people talking about. So if you sit with your family or with your friends or whatever, right? What do they talk about? Does anybody mention Bitcoin? No. My family and my friends, they're talking about gold. So the real bull market this season wasn't for crypto, it was for precious metals, and it's for a good reason. It's for a very good reason. It does make sense, and I'm upset that I've seen this a little bit too late, right? And it's important that we start to see this. Is the rally for precious metals over or not? That's yet to be seen. That needs analysis on its own. But that's where the spotlight is. That's where the spotlight is. If you look at the trend that is going right now. Taya, please, okay? Don't worry, everything's okay. So where you see now this banana zones is not in Bitcoin's price, it's in gold and silver. And if you go check Bitcoin versus silver, you start to really understand that we've headed in a bear market against silver since last August 2025. Okay, the peak was in January 2025. So if you have been in silver since, you know, January, like 1 year ago almost, you would have been so much better off. You would have been like crazy better off. And we crypto guys have been busy in crypto, but a real market speculator, a speculator that wants to make money in the markets should not be married to one asset. A speculator that wants to make money should see opportunities in other areas too. And I know this is a crypto channel, but I'll be discussing other assets as well. Crypto is my love. It's my passion. It's what I believe in. It's the future of finance. It's the way we want to deal with money. But that's what we believe, what we value. That's why a lot of people come into crypto and trade crypto. But on the other hand, are you here to push a movement? Then good job. Continue doing Bitcoin. Continue doing Ethereum or whatever, meme coins, all that stuff. No problem. But if you're here as a speculator to make money in the markets, then we shouldn't be married to one asset. A lot of the great traders trade multi-assets. They understand seasons and cycles for different assets and positions themselves during good times where this asset performs well under certain market conditions and geopolitical conflicts and whatever, right? That's what a real market speculator that wants to make money does, at least in my opinion, right? So am I thinking of investing in silver and gold? Possibly. I've done a few trades before, but I've closed them due to my lack of research, because if I don't research something very well, I don't feel comfortable holding that position, and you tend to lose money. But when I research something very good, and that's maybe something you should apply to your, if you find it's helpful. If you don't research something very good, don't invest. But if you research something and you know the ins and outs, and you think you know more than the other market participants, so you need to understand the market is a zero-sum game. So it's you against the other guy, me against you, right? Hopefully us against them, right? But people lose and people make money. So to make money in the market is simple. You need to know more than at least 50% of the people and apply good trading methodologies and strategies. Of course, there's a lot to go on, but holding that your strategies and methods of investing, everything is constant between, for example, us and them, the other traders and the traders watching this channel, for example, as a simple example. Then if everything is constant and just what we know is different, then if we know more than them, we're gonna take their money. But if they know more than us, we're gonna lose our money to them, right? And of course, if everything is constant and trading strategies is different, then of course, if we know more trading strategies and we're better traders, then we take their money. But that's the truth that nobody wants to talk about in market speculation or trading. And a lot of people probably roll their eyes or don't like what I'm saying, but that's the truth. And if you don't understand the truth, then you're not going to make money in this industry. All right. So let's have that clear. Before you invest in something, please do your research and understand the factors that are influencing uh, that specific asset. And sometimes we might see those factors a little bit late, like silver. I mean, wasn't Trump and China fighting over precious metals, and now America took Venezuela for oil and other a lot of stuff that they have, right? And China bought a lot of deposits and have factories for processing those. China piled up a lot of gold like a year or two ago. That has been public, right? That has been very public, and they probably did it even before. So the move away from the US dollar was our trigger, our hint that it's commodities turn. It's commodities bull run. We didn't have a bull run in crypto because the spotlight, the star was commodities. Your family, your friends, online, everybody is buying gold, buying silver, chilling gold and silver, and they're happy about it, right? They're happy about it. I mean, I'm happy with Bitcoin, right? We had an amazing bull run. I hadn't really coming to this. My expectation was 150,000 Bitcoin maximum. Slowly, my target went up as you usually sense and do in bull markets, but I was able to sell right before like at 110 on something. That was good. That was fine. But we just went up to 124, and a lot of people were sad about it. But if you think about it, Bitcoin went up 700%. 700%. And if you do simple math, I remember when I first started investing, I did some simple math of actually understanding how much Bitcoin was going up and applying diminishing returns, and my goal was 700%. That was my goal when I started. Slowly, I shifted away from my goal, of course, due to emotions. But when the time really came, because I did the research way back on 3 years ago, and I had that on my computer and charts and notes and everything, I looked at that and I was like, Moha, you said 700%. We have over 700%. And then that led me to actually study and consider the factors that maybe the top is here. And that was around this time, right? So I was fully invested here. Well, actually, I've sold some here, but on this run up, I went all in again. I go all in. I double down when I know I'm right, but I make sure I limit my losses when I enter, right? When we started doing that, Bitcoin was not supposed to do that. right, at that time with the heavy volume. So comparatively, the buy volume was low and the red volume was picking up. I saw those notes. I went to the drawing board. I saw that, and I sold almost all my positions right there and then. Didn't think about it. Just bam. Okay, I did a little bit over a few days, but I sold much quickly than I bought, and I'm glad. But that's why it's important to understand that we did have a bull market. It wasn't a euphoria phase. It was a logical bull market because the spotlight was, you know, given to other assets that deserved it, and they did. They did. All right. There's a lot of geopolitics going on. Enough talk about that. Let's talk about silver again. So here, there's a major actually resistance line. So we might see some. The silver chart says we might see some kind of bounce here, but I doubt it. Okay, the bounce maybe would have occurred right there, and just broke down. Right, that could be one major support, right? But another one could be here, another one could be there, right? So silver against Bitcoin is really difficult to understand right now, right? But what I see, I mean, you see that move right there is just way too heavy. Looking at that would be like there should be some kind of pull, like relief rally by the least. But it doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like it. I mean, maybe you can look at that and be like, the selling volume is kind of getting stable. That could be one sign, because here it was way too high, right? Way too high. So that's one factor that may be in the camp of Bitcoin will start beating silver, but that's not enough to be conclusive. When we look at Bitcoin versus gold, here we see a picture where, at least I do, says lower for longer for Bitcoin. So the support line that should have acted as resistant is that one right here. We bounced off it multiple times. We got rejected from it multiple times. And right now, what can be seen is a clear rejection. Okay, a clear rejection of that support that has been turned into resistance. Okay, and this area is absolutely clean, like absolutely clean. If you imagine a goal, and the footballer is coming here, and he's like with the ball, want to shoot the ball here. Well, there's no defense right here. There's no defense. He just needs to take the damn shot. For that, we need to confirm that this is really a breakdown that is reliable. In breakdowns, what I look at is three factors. First, you need like retest, okay, and two of those need to be okay for me to be like, all right, we're going heading lower for longer, and I'll manage my assets accordingly, right? We did retest. That's the retest. Retest of previous support turned into resistant. That's the retest. That's one. Oh no. Perfect. First one is retest, which is ticked now. All right. The second one is large volume. I need to see large volume, or usually good traders need to see large volume followed by the retest. Okay, right now, yeah, it's hard to say there's large volume. There's large volume on the breakdown, but relatively, the volume need to be at around minimum 1.5. So 50% larger, 150% you would say. Like this one should be 150% of the previous, previous length of the previous volumes that around that zone. So we would need to be like here. So another one of that would satisfy, but more than that would be amazing. You didn't see that. Volume. Another one would be a continuation candle, right? So a continuation candle is a candle, continuation candle, characterized with this size, length. That's different than volume, right? So a continuation candle, even on low volume, uh, larger volume would be like beautiful, right? If you want to go down, beautiful in terms of the theory being tested, right? Continuation candle would be something like that, right? So 1.5 to 2x the size of previous candles. If another one of these three trigger, then you should expect that Bitcoin at least has a higher chance and higher probability of just going down to the next resistance. So in gold terms, we're not looking good. I think gold will continue to outperform Bitcoin for the time being. And the reasons for that is, come on, America going to Greenland, more instability. And when the world feels unstable and unsafe, they flock to gold. Another one is, China keeps piling gold, right? Everybody is moving away from the US dollar, whether you like it or not, right? I think the US dollar has its benefits and drawbacks, but that's a topic for not for us. We just look at the facts and be like, what does that mean for crypto or gold or the asset we're discussing, right? And going away from the US dollar, yeah, theoretically it should benefit Bitcoin, and it does to some degree, right? That's why I started kind of investing into Bitcoin. I was like, I don't want governments to control my money, and I flocked to Bitcoin, right? That does help some investors to actually to, by the least, enter the cryptoverse. But to keep them, if they become good investors, um, then they look at the factors. And right now, the market doesn't care about Bitcoin if the US dollar goes down or not. Right now, the market is just going to the good old gold and silver and precious metals that actually have working and usable benefit to the world. Bitcoin has. I spent a lot of money through crypto, but right now the average Joe, the average person, because I think governments are piling up, no problem. Are they done piling up? We're not sure, but we know they have been piling up gold for a long time. Whether they're continuing to piling up or not, I don't see it on the news anymore. I don't see any articles talking about governments piling up gold anymore. What I see now is just your average mom and dad and friend and other people, even now the taxi driver almost. I mean, if you go look at Peter Thiel's book, if the taxi driver is talking about gold, then maybe the top is near, right? And it's hard, right? It's hard because a lot of people talking about gold. So is the top in? Is it Bitcoin's time to shine? I think we might have a little bit more gas, just for the time for the bear market to come for crypto, to finish, to end. And once the bear market ends for crypto, I think that's where the shift might happen between gold to Bitcoin. All right, so cycles work, and everything has its time, right? Just believe in the cycle. Usually, the reasons, the outcomes, the macro lines up at some point. But I feel like following the cycle helps me understand why certain things are happening and what could be those outcomes. By the time gold finally goes here, I don't think gold is going to go here. I don't think so. I doubt so. I believe in Bitcoin more than gold. And at the end, Bitcoin will win over gold with a probabilistic outcome chance, right? I think the chance that over the long run, Bitcoin will overtake gold. I do believe that. But it will take time. And maybe 10 years, maybe 5, not 5 for sure, not 10 plus years. I think 10 to 30 years, Bitcoin will start to challenge gold. But right now, I don't think we're going to make a lower low. We might just come here, and then from there we can assess, right? And hopefully the bear market for Bitcoin, which should theoretically, there's a chance that we do not go. Usually we have a 1 year bear market, right? 1 year bear market for crypto, at least Bitcoin. So if you see here, we had the top in November, but we had the bottom around November too, right? So if we had the top here in October or September, then we should have the bottom in September around, right? But I think like a lot of people talking and discussing right now, we might have kind of a suppressed bear market, shorter in length and shorter in magnitude, right? And that's why I think maybe by summer we should find the bottom. Summer to the actual time, to September, sounds very reasonable. It's not something surprising, right? Another one we're going to talk about is Bitcoin versus the stock market. Similar photo is being printed here. Bitcoin is having a bear market against, or at least a short-term, I think it's going to be a bear market, right? But right now it's just a correction against the S&P. That was the major support that we should have held. By the way, if you look at BTC over the US dollar, that would correspond to it, right? In form, in shape. Here we did have it here against the US dollar. So the US dollar was weaker than the stock market. I think everybody will notice that by the stock market going up, but just something to point out. But for the stock market, we do see that we did go lower, right, in terms of the level, and also we have broken down that support and we're retesting it as resistance right now. Okay, so if that successful retest, same factors we talked about, the three factors that we talked about before apply here, apply to any retest. We will be going lower, at least to that level here, right? That's the next support line. So that matches with gold, matches with Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin rally to the 50-week SMA coincides with the retest of the resistance line for the S&P and gold as well. Silver is just showing great momentum to the downside, and this is why I think they're, even though we actually discussed this before. I'm going to show you a video where we actually discussed Bitcoin going up to the 50-week SMA.
You can see it even more clearly when you go to the daily, right? You got one bounce and then a second one before we broke right to the 100-week SMA. And what history says is we are going up to retest the 50-week SMA.
We will go up to retest
in
the
some
50-week
cycles,
SMA.
we
That
actually...
was way early. That was during November of last year. So that's playing out. And again, what history says, we do not need to touch the 50-week SMA. It's just the direction usually goes there, right? If we touch it, then that's a very nice short. If we don't, then, you know, that means we might be going lower from here. But again, we usually sweep the previous highs. We sweep that high. If we go down, that might act as good support. And I hope it stops there. But if you're a person that is waiting to accumulate Bitcoin, I would wait a little bit longer for the bear market to take its course and maybe get at better prices later. Not financial advice, just for education purposes only. Please do your own research. But I personally want to accumulate Bitcoin at lower prices, similarly to what I've done in here. So to be a successful trader in crypto, at least in Bitcoin and any other assets, I think that can translate. You need to wait. You need to be patient. The game is 10% execution, I would say even 5% execution, and 95% waiting. Waiting. You put on a trade, you wait for it to play out. And you don't put on a trade till the time is right. Right? The time right now is a lot of confusion for me, at least. I'm not putting any major trades, especially long ones. Long ones, I'm waiting for the bear market bottom, or around the bottom. So I haven't really touched the bottom before. I didn't invest here. I have some, but I mostly, all my capital was deployed around this area. Here some, but when I was making money, I doubled down, and that's where it comes from. When you're right, double down. When you're wrong, limit your risk. Preferably 1%, or whatever your target is. My risk is 1%. All right, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and I will try my best to come up to you with the best crypto advice and trading methodologies that can help you through your journey to make money. Peace out. Stay well, my friends.